A man who controls an empire through fear. A woman who survived violence once before. One accidental meeting in a nightclub. And a medical condition no doctor could cure. Until her voice changed everything. This is the story of how love became the most dangerous weapon in Seoul's underworld. But before we get there, you need to understand what broke him first. Darius Kang moved through Club Eclipse like a ghost. 35 years old. Seoul's most feared syndicate leader. A man who'd built an empire on calculated brutality. But tonight, he wasn't hunting territory or crushing rivals. He was hunting nothing. Just drifting through the bass-heavy darkness, hands in pockets, trying to outrun memories that clung to him like smoke. 9 months since the crash. 9 months since doctors whispered words like permanent damage and psychological trauma. They used clinical terms, professional language. But what they meant was simple. He was broken. Not his spine that healed fine. Not his legs, those worked perfectly. Something deeper. Something that made him feel less than human. Erectile dysfunction. Complete. Irreversible, according to every specialist he'd seen. His mind wanted. His body refused. For a man whose power came from dominance, from control, from the ability to command fear with a glance, this felt like death. He tried everything. American specialists who charged $50,000 for experimental treatments. Medications that left him nauseous and desperate. Beautiful women who looked at him with pity when nothing happened. Nothing worked. So he walked. Through his own club. Past staff who recognized him but knew better than to approach. Past VIP sections where deals were made and territories divided. He owned this place. He owned half the district. But he felt like a stranger in his own empire. His reflection caught in mirrored walls. Tom Ford suit, perfectly tailored. Audemars Piguet watch catching strobe light. Shoes handcrafted in Italy. Everything about his appearance screamed power. Everything inside him whispered failure. Then he heard it. A voice cutting through the bass and chatter. Rich. Melodic. With an accent that made his chest tighten. Excuse me, but you look completely lost. Wrong party. Wrong club? Wrong life. Darius turned. And forgot how to breathe. She stood at the bar, wine glass in hand, regarding him with eyes that saw too much. Her skin was deep mahogany, luminous under the club's shifting lights. Natural hair cascaded in elegant locks over one shoulder. She wore a sleek jumpsuit that somehow merged African elegance with contemporary soul fashion. But it was her eyes that stopped him. Dark, perceptive, fearless. She looked at him the way no one in Seoul looked at Darius Kang. With curiosity instead of fear. Amusement instead of deference. Lost, he managed. His voice came out rougher than intended. Completely. You've been circling this floor for 10 minutes like you're searching for an exit that doesn't exist. She took a sip of wine, studying him over the rim. I'm Zara, by the way. Zara Okafor. His throat felt tight. Darius. Just Darius? How mysterious. She smiled. So Darius, what brings you to Club Eclipse, wandering like a ghost? I own it. Her eyebrow rose. Of course you do. Men like you always own things. But do you enjoy them? That's the real question. She moved closer. And that's when it happened. His body betrayed him with a response he thought impossible. Heat flooded through him, pooling low in his abdomen. His pulse quickened. His skin flushed. For the first time in 9 months, his body remembered what desire felt like. Panic and exhilaration hit simultaneously. He turned abruptly toward the bar, using it to shield his body's reaction. His hands gripped the polished surface, knuckles white. You're tense, she observed, moving beside him. Too close. Her perfume invaded his senses, something exotic with notes of amber and spice. Relax. This is your club, remember? Can't relax, he said. His voice came out strained. Too much to control. Too much to control? Too much to prove. She studied him with unnerving directness. I run an art gallery in Itaewon. Afro-Visions. It means I spend a lot of time reading people. You're not here to enjoy yourself. You're here to remember how. Darius met her eyes. She held his gaze without flinching, a small smile playing at her lips. Did she know? Could she tell what was happening inside him? The thought mortified and thrilled him in equal measure. I'm Zara, she said again. It means princess in Arabic, though my Nigerian parents had more democratic intentions. The name was aspirational. Did you live up to it? What do you think? The confidence in her voice, the challenge in her tone, the warmth that seemed to radiate from her presence. It overwhelmed him. His body's response intensified. For a man who'd spent 9 months feeling nothing, the suddenness was almost painful. He needed to leave before he embarrassed himself completely. I'll think about it, he managed, backing away from the bar. The question or the answer? Her laugh followed him. Both seem to terrify you. Club Eclipse is open every night, Darius. Come back when you have answers. Or better questions. Darius pushed through the crowd and exited into Seoul's humid night air. He leaned against the building's exterior, breathing hard. His heart hammered. His body thrummed with sensation he'd thought lost forever. For 9 months he'd been dead inside. 5 minutes with Zara, and he felt violently, impossibly alive. He pulled out his phone with shaking hands. Taehyun, I need information. There's an art gallery in Itaewon called Afro-Visions. Owner is a Nigerian woman, late 20s, named Zara Okafor. I want to know everything. Sir, is there a problem? Just get me the information. Back at his penthouse, Darius paced like a caged animal. His body still hummed with residual arousal, a feeling so foreign after months of numbness that he barely recognized it. He tried everything to fix himself. Doctors, therapists, medications that left him nauseous and desperate. Nothing worked. 5 minutes with a stranger and his body responded like he was 20 years old again. It made no sense. She wasn't the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen, though her beauty was striking. She wasn't overtly sexual or provocative. But something about her presence, her voice, the way she looked at him without fear or calculation, it bypassed every psychological block and physical limitation. His phone buzzed. Taehyun's report came through. Zara Okafor, 29, Nigerian, moved to Seoul 4 years ago. Art history degree from University of Lagos. Worked in London galleries before opening Afro-Visions 2 years ago. The gallery featured contemporary African artists, connecting diaspora creators with Asian collectors. Clean record. No criminal connections, no red flags. The report included a photograph. Zara laughing at a gallery opening, her face lit with genuine joy. Darius stared at it longer than necessary, feeling something stir in his chest that had nothing to do with physical desire. When was the last time he'd felt joy? When was the last time he'd laughed without bitterness? He went to bed but didn't sleep. His mind replayed their encounter. Her voice. Her scent. The way she read him so easily. His body responded again to the memory alone. The impossibility of it consumed him. How could one woman accomplish what 9 months of medical intervention couldn't? By dawn he'd made a decision. He would go back. Not because he needed art. Not because he wanted answers. But because for 5 minutes in that club, Darius Kang had felt like a man instead of a ghost. 4 days later, he returned to Club Eclipse at dusk, before the crowds arrived. This time he came prepared. He'd rehearsed what to say, planned how to act casual, convinced himself he was in control. All of that dissolved the moment he spotted Zara at the same bar, reviewing something on her tablet. She looked up. Recognition lit her features. The ghost returns. Did you bring answers? I brought curiosity. Even better. She closed her tablet, giving him her full attention. Today she wore wide-legged pants and a fitted top that somehow looked effortlessly elegant. Curiosity is honest. Answers can be lies we tell ourselves. You talk like a philosopher. I studied philosophy alongside art history. I curate galleries like a businesswoman. It's called range. She gestured to the bartender. 2 glasses of your best red. We're celebrating. Celebrating what? Darius asked. Curiosity. It's rarer than you'd think in Seoul's elite circles. She accepted the wine, sliding 1 glass toward him. Most people come to my gallery knowing exactly what they want. You came to this club not knowing what you were looking for. That's more honest. Darius felt exposed in a way that had nothing to do with conversation. Maybe I like certainty. Maybe you're afraid of discovering what you actually want. She took a sip, watching him over the rim. I see a lot of that in my own district. Powerful people. Expensive emptiness. You don't know me. I know enough. Expensive suit, expensive watch, expensive loneliness. You own this club but you wander through it like a stranger. That tells me everything. Zara pulled out her phone, showing him images from her gallery. I have an exhibition opening next week. Contemporary Nigerian photographers exploring identity in diaspora. You should come. As she explained the artist's work and cultural significance, Darius found himself mesmerized not by the art, but by her passion. She spoke about creativity the way he used to speak about building his empire. With vision, intelligence, hunger. You love this, he said. Of course I love it. Life's too short for work you don't love. That's what my mother told me before she passed. She spent 25 years doing work she hated. I promised myself I wouldn't make that mistake. Zara looked at him directly. What do you love? The question hung between them. What did Darius Kang love? He'd spent 16 years building an empire, crushing rivals, accumulating power. He'd loved the game once. The strategy. The victory. But somewhere along the way it became mechanical. Then the crash happened and even the mechanism broke. I'm still figuring that out, he admitted. Well, while you figure it out, come to my opening. See what passion looks like when it's given proper space to breathe. She stood, gathering her things. I need to get back to the gallery. Final preparations. But Darius. She paused, meeting his eyes. Whatever you're running from, the crash, the aftermath, the hollowness, you won't outrun it in clubs or boardrooms. You have to turn around and face it. That sounds like therapy. That sounds like survival. She smiled. See you next week. Or don't. Either way, I'll remember the ghost who came back looking for answers. She left before he could respond. Over the next week, Darius couldn't stop thinking about her. He attended syndicate meetings with renewed focus, handled a territorial dispute in Hongdae with his old strategic brilliance. Seoul's underworld whispered that Darius Kang was back. But Chairman Lee's crew and gangbuk still tested boundaries. They hit another club, sent threatening messages, spread rumors about Darius's weakness. They were waiting for him to show definitive strength or collapse under pressure. Then someone left a note at Afrovision's gallery. Watch the company you keep. Zara found it when opening the gallery on a Thursday morning. Her hand shook as she pulled the paper from the door, reading the message 3 times before calling Darius. What does this mean? Her voice carried barely controlled panic. Darius arrived within minutes, alone, studying the note with cold fury. It means someone's watching you. Someone knows you're important to me. Important? We barely know each other. We know enough. He pulled out his phone, texting Taehyun to increase surveillance around the gallery. This is Chairman Lee's style. Indirect threats. Testing boundaries. He wants to see if protecting you makes me vulnerable. Protecting me? Darius, I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask to be a target in your world. You became a target the moment I walked into that club. That's my fault, but I won't let anyone hurt you. Zara laughed bitterly. This is exactly what I was afraid of. I make one exception, let one dangerous man into my life, and suddenly I'm getting threatening notes. This is Lagos all over again. This is nothing like Lagos. Really? Because from where I'm standing it looks identical. Danger. Threats. Me in the middle of something I didn't choose. Darius stepped closer, his voice dropping. The difference is I'd burn this city down before I let anyone hurt you. Your ex put you in danger through carelessness. I'll protect you with everything I have. That's not reassuring. That's terrifying. She backed away, wrapping her arms around herself. Maybe you should stop coming around. For both our sakes. Is that what you want? What I want doesn't matter. What's safe matters. Safety is an illusion, especially in Seoul. Especially for someone who knows me. He moved closer, his presence overwhelming in the gallery's intimate space. But I'll give you a choice. I can disappear from your life. My men will still watch the gallery, ensure your safety, but you'll never see me again. Or I can stay and we face whatever comes together. That's not a fair choice. Life isn't fair, but it's honest. Zara met his eyes, seeing the same fear reflected that she felt. They were both terrified of this connection. Both knew it was dangerous. But danger had a seductive quality. especially when wrapped in vulnerability and truth. I need time to think, she said. Darius nodded and left without another word. For 3 days he stayed away. The hardest 3 days since the crash. He threw himself into work, handling disputes and consolidating power. But every quiet moment his thoughts returned to Zara. Her laugh. Her scent. The way she looked at him without pretense. His body's response to her memories remained strong. A constant reminder that she'd awakened something permanent. But more than physical desire, he craved her presence. Her questions. Her challenges. She made him examine himself honestly, something no one else dared to do. On the 4th day, Taehyun entered his office with concerning news. Boss, we have a problem. Chairman Lee's crew hit another property. They're getting bold. Where? Itaewon. 3 blocks from that gallery you've been visiting. Darius's blood ran cold. When? Last night around midnight. They didn't touch Afrovisions, but the message was clear. They know about the woman. Double security around the gallery. And I want Chairman Lee's location tonight. Taehyun hesitated. Boss, maybe this is the opening you need. Show strength. Remind everyone why they fear you. That's exactly what I intend to do. That evening, Darius walked into Afrovisions at closing time. Zara was organizing display cards, her movements tense. She looked up when the door chimed, relief and anxiety crossing her face simultaneously. I heard about the incident 3 blocks away, she said without preamble. Your men have been watching the gallery. I see them. Good. That means they're doing their job. I don't want to live like this. Looking over my shoulder, wondering if every visitor is a threat. Then come with me. The words surprised them both. Come with you where? Away from here. I have properties outside Seoul. Safe places. You could stay there until this situation resolves. Zara laughed without humor. Run away. Hide. That's your solution. That's me protecting you. I didn't ask for protection. I asked for honesty, for space, for time to figure out if what I feel is real, or just adrenaline and fear mixed with attraction. What do you feel? Darius moved closer, drawn by the magnetic pull that never diminished. I feel like I'm falling off a cliff and you're the rocks below. Inevitable. Destructive. Exactly where I'll land despite every attempt to steer away. Her voice broke. I feel like you see parts of me no one else sees. Like your brokenness recognizes my brokenness. Like we could heal each other or destroy each other. And I can't tell which is more likely. Zara, I'm not finished. I feel like every moment with you is borrowed time. Like the universe is laughing at us for thinking we could have something normal. Like loving you would be the bravest and stupidest thing I could do. Tears streamed down her face. And I'm tired of being brave. I'm tired of being stupid. I just want to be safe. Darius closed the distance between them, cupping her face gently. Safe is overrated. Safe is lonely. Safe is what I've been for 9 months and it nearly killed me. What are you saying? I'm saying I can't promise you safety. I can't promise this won't be complicated or dangerous or messy. But I can promise you won't face it alone. I can promise that every threat that comes for you comes through me first. And I can promise that you make me feel alive in ways I forgot existed. That's not enough. Then tell me what is enough. Tell me what you need and I'll find a way to give it to you. She pulled away, pacing the gallery's length. I need you to be honest about the danger. All of it. Not protective vagueness. Real details. What am I risking by letting you stay in my life? Darius took a breath. Chairman Lee's crew wants territory I control. They're using you to test my commitment. If I protect you, I appear weak. If I abandon you, I lose respect in different ways. Either way, they win unless I eliminate the threat completely. Eliminate how? You don't want those details. Yes, I do. If I'm risking my life, I deserve to know exactly how you operate. He studied her face, seeing the steel beneath the fear. She wasn't running. She was demanding truth. I'll handle Chairman Lee and his lieutenants directly. Send a message that touching my interests brings severe consequences. It will be violent. People will be hurt. Some may die. That's the reality of my world. Zara absorbed this information, her expression unreadable. And if they retaliate? They won't have the capacity. I'll dismantle their organization from the inside. It's what I do. You say that so casually, like you're describing business strategy instead of violence. In my world, they're the same thing. She nodded slowly. Okay. I appreciate the honesty. Does that change things between us? I don't know yet. Ask me after I sleep on it. If I can sleep knowing what you just told me. Darius moved toward the door, then paused. For what it's worth, I've never been this honest with anyone, including myself. You demand truth in ways that terrify me, but I'd rather be terrified with you than numb without you. He left before she could respond. That night, Darius gathered his most trusted lieutenants in a private room above a restaurant he owned. Taehyun, Youngwoo, and 3 others who'd been with him since the beginning. Men who'd proven loyalty through blood and strategy. Chairman Lee's getting bold, Darius said without preamble. He's testing boundaries, hitting our properties, threatening our interests. It ends now. Youngwoo, his oldest friend in the organization, leaned forward. We've been waiting for your word, boss. What's the play? Complete dismantling. I want his distribution networks cut off. His protection rackets absorbed. His lieutenants turned or eliminated. Chairman Lee himself needs to disappear in a way that sends a message. Testing Darius Kang brings consequences worse than death. Taehyun pulled up surveillance photos on his tablet. Lee meets his crew every Saturday at a warehouse in Gangbuk. Light security because he thinks he's untouchable. He's wrong. Darius studied the photos. How many men? Usually 7 to 9. All armed. Then we go with 15. Overwhelming force. No survivors among the lieutenants. Lee, I want him alive initially. He needs to understand his mistake before he disappears. Youngwoo whistled low. That's a strong play, boss. Necessary but strong. I need everyone to understand that my protection extends to specific interests. Anyone who threatens those interests threatens me directly. Are we clear? The men nodded, understanding the unspoken message. Zara was under Darius's protection, and touching her meant death. One more thing, Darius continued. After we handle Lee, I want surveillance on all rival crews doubled. If anyone else gets ideas, I want to know immediately. We're not playing defense anymore. We're reminding Seoul why they fear us. You sound like the old you, boss, Youngwoo said with a grin. Whatever brought you back? I'm grateful. Darius didn't respond. He couldn't explain that what brought him back was a woman with an accent that felt like home and eyes that saw through carefully constructed walls. Some truths were too vulnerable to share, even with trusted allies. The next evening Zara called him. I've made a decision. Darius's hand tightened on his phone. Tell me. I'm not running. I'm not hiding. But I need boundaries. You can come to the gallery. We can talk. We can explore whatever this is between us. But you have to keep your world and my world separate. No violence near Afro visions. No using me as bait or strategy. I'm not a chess piece. Understood. Agreed. I'm serious, Darius. The moment I become a tool in your games, this ends. I don't care how much chemistry we have. I won't be used. You're not a tool. You're the reason I'm still breathing. Silence stretched between them. Then Zara's voice came softer. Come by tomorrow. Late. After I close. We'll talk more. I'll be there. Saturday night arrived with the weight of inevitability. Darius's men moved into position around Chairman Lee's warehouse with military precision. Darius himself waited in an SUV 2 blocks away, listening to radio chatter as his team confirmed positions and sight lines. All units ready, boss. Taehyun said from the passenger seat. On your word. Darius checked his watch. 2200 hours. Lee and his lieutenants would be settling into their weekly meeting, drinking expensive liquor, celebrating their recent victories. They thought they were winning. They were about to learn they'd barely survived Darius's patience. Execute. The operation lasted 14 minutes. Overwhelming force combined with strategic precision. By the time emergency services received anonymous calls about gunfire in Gangbuk, Darius's men had vanished. Lee's lieutenants lay dead in the warehouse. Lee himself was in a van heading toward an undisclosed location, bleeding but alive. Darius met him in a basement 3 hours later. Lee's earlier arrogance had dissolved into fear. Blood matted his hair. His expensive suit was ruined. He knew what came next. You made a mistake, Darius said, his voice eerily calm. You touched something that belongs to me. The gallery? She's just a woman. The punch came fast, breaking Lee's nose. She's not just anything. She's under my protection. You threatened her to test my commitment. Now you understand the test results. Lee spat blood. You've gone soft, Kang. Everyone sees it. The crash changed you. You're right. The crash changed me. It showed me what matters. And what matters is worth protecting with overwhelming violence. Consider this a lesson to everyone watching. My protection is absolute. Testing it brings consequences. Your organization won't survive. You're going to kill me anyway. Why the speech? Because I want you to understand why you're dying. Not business. Not territory. Not strategy. You threatened something I care about. That's unforgivable. Darius nodded to Taehyun, then left the basement. He didn't watch what happened next. Some things didn't require his direct participation. The message would spread through Seoul's underworld by morning. Darius Kang was back and he was more dangerous than ever. But as his car navigated Seoul's midnight streets toward Itaewon, toward a gallery where a woman waited, Darius felt no satisfaction from the violence. Just relief that the immediate threat was neutralized. An anticipation of seeing Zara again. She was waiting inside Afro-Visions. The gallery closed and lights dimmed. When Darius entered, she studied him with knowing eyes. You took care of it. Not a question. I took care of it. Should I ask questions? You shouldn't, but you can. She moved closer, stopping just out of reach. I heard sirens earlier. Police activity in Gangbuk. Connected. Probably. People died. Yes. Because of me. Darius stepped forward, closing the distance. Because of choices Lee made. You didn't create this situation. You didn't ask for protection, but you have it anyway because I care about you. The violence isn't your fault. It's the cost of my world. Zara's hands shook slightly. I don't know how to feel about that. Horrified. Grateful. Guilty. Feel however you need to feel. Just don't feel alone. She laughed, a broken sound. That's the problem. I don't feel alone. For the first time in years I feel connected to someone. And that connection comes with bodies and blood and consequences I can't control. It's not fair. Nothing about us is fair. He reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, he cupped her face gently. But it's real. More real than anything I've felt in years. Your hands are clean, she observed. No blood. I'm careful. That's not what I meant. I meant you've arranged your world so you can come to me without physical evidence. Like you're trying to keep two versions of yourself separate. The monster and the man. Aren't you trying to do the same thing? Keep the woman who runs a gallery separate from the woman who cares about a criminal. Zara pulled away, walking to the window overlooking the street. I've been thinking about that. About compartmentalizing. About trying to love part of someone while ignoring other parts. It doesn't work. I learned that in Lagos. What are you saying? I'm saying if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to let you into my life, I need to accept all of you. The violence. The danger. The empire built on fear. I can't cherry-pick the parts one like and pretend the rest doesn't exist. Darius moved behind her, close enough to feel her warmth. That's asking a lot of yourself. You asked me what I needed to feel safe. The answer isn't safety, it's honesty. Complete honesty. If I'm going to risk my life for you, I need to know exactly who I'm risking it for. She turned, their faces inches apart. How many people have you killed? Directly? 6. Indirectly through orders? I stopped counting at 60. Do you feel guilty? Sometimes. Depends on who they were and why they died. What about tonight? Tonight I feel relief. The threat is neutralized. You're safer. That's all that matters to me right now. Zara searched his face, looking for deception or performance, finding only raw truth. Do you love me? The question hung between them, heavy with implications. Darius knew the right answer would be deflection or caution, but she'd asked for honesty. I don't know if I remember how to love, he admitted. I've spent 16 years building walls around everything soft inside me. Then you walked into my life, or I walked into yours and those walls started crumbling. What I feel terrifies me because it's vulnerable. It's need. It's dependence. It's everything I've avoided because those things make you weak in my world. That's not an answer. The answer is I'm falling. I don't know if it's love yet, but it's falling. Fast and irreversible. And I've never felt this vulnerable with anyone. So maybe that's what love is. Voluntary vulnerability with someone who could destroy you. Zara's eyes glistened. I'm falling too, which is stupid because I know better. I know how this story ends. The dangerous man and the woman who thought she could save him. It never ends well. I'm not asking you to save me. Then what are you asking? I'm asking you to fall with me. Not to fix me or save me. Just to be present while we figure out what this is. She reached up, her fingers tracing the line of his jaw. You realize how insane this is? We've known each other for 3 weeks. Time doesn't matter when you're drowning. You don't count the seconds. You just know you need air. And I'm your air? You're everything. Air, water, ground beneath my feet. For 9 months I floated without purpose. Now I have a reason to be present in my life instead of just existing in it. Zara pulled him closer, their foreheads touching. Promise me something. Anything. Promise me when this falls apart, and it probably will, you'll let me go. You won't drag me deeper into your world. You won't make me a prisoner of your protection. You'll just let me walk away. I can't promise that. Why not? Because if you walk away, I don't know if I survive it. I barely survived 9 months of numbness. Losing you after feeling this alive, that might actually kill me. That's not fair to put on me. Nothing about us is fair, but it's true. She kissed him then, sudden and desperate. Her lips tasted like tears and courage. Darius responded with months of pent-up hunger. His hands tangling in her locks, pulling her closer. The kiss deepened, became consuming. All the tension and fear and desire that had built over weeks exploded in that moment. When they broke apart, both breathless, Zara laughed shakily. Well, that was everything. I was going to say terrifying, but everything works too. Darius rested his forehead against hers, trying to steady his breathing. His body hummed with arousal, the response he'd thought lost forever now overwhelming in its intensity. I should probably leave before I do something we're not ready for. Who says we're not ready? You're emotional. Scared. This isn't the right time. There's never going to be a right time with us. Every moment is stolen. Every moment is dangerous. If we wait for perfect circumstances, we'll wait forever. She kissed him again, softer this time. Stay. Not for sex. Just stay. I don't want to be alone tonight. They moved to the small office in the back of the gallery where Zara kept a couch for late nights working. She pulled out blankets, creating a makeshift bed. They lay together, her head on his chest, his arms around her, not speaking, just breathing, just being present. I can feel your heartbeat, she whispered. It's fast. You make me nervous. Good. You should be nervous. I'm probably going to break your heart. Then we'll be even because I'm definitely going to break yours. She laughed, the sound vibrating against his chest. What a pair we make. 2 broken people promising to break each other further. Or maybe 2 broken people figuring out how to heal together. That's optimistic. I've been pessimistic for 9 months. I'm trying something new. They fell asleep like that, wrapped around each other, protected by locked doors and Darius's men watching from shadows outside. For one night, the world's complications dissolved. For one night, they were just 2 people finding comfort and connection. Morning arrived too quickly. Zara woke first, studying Darius's face in early light. Asleep, he looked younger, vulnerable. The hard edges softened. She traced her fingers along his jawline, marveling at how quickly he'd become essential to her. His eyes opened, focusing on her immediately. Good morning. Good morning. You snore. I do not. You absolutely do. Light snoring. It's cute. Cute. He repeated with mock horror. I'm a syndicate leader. I'm not cute. You're cute when you sleep. The rest of the time you're terrifying. I can multitask. She sat up, stretching. I need to open the gallery in an hour. You should probably leave before visitors start arriving. Bad for business if Seoul's most dangerous man is emerging from my office. Darius sat up, pulling her back against him. Or it could be good for business. People love scandal. People love staying alive more. Your presence puts a target on this place. My men are outside. The target is already here. Has been since the first day I walked into that club. She turned in his arms, her expression serious. I need normalcy, Darius. As much as possible. Can you give me that? Come here sometimes, but let me run my business. Let me have parts of my life that aren't consumed by your world. I can try. That's all I'm asking. Try. He left through the back entrance, his men materializing from positions around the gallery to escort him. Taehyun raised an eyebrow but said nothing. The boss's personal life was his own business, even when that business complicated everything else. Over the next 2 weeks they found a rhythm. Darius visited Afrovisions 3 or 4 times per week, always in evening hours, always careful not to disrupt Zara's business. They talked about everything. Her childhood in Lagos. His early years building the syndicate. Philosophy. Art. Music. They argued about Korean cinema and African literature. They laughed at stupid jokes and shared comfortable silences. The physical attraction remained intense, but they moved slowly, both aware that crossing that final line would change everything. Kisses became longer, touches more intimate, but they maintained boundaries by unspoken agreement. Seoul's underworld noticed Chairman Lee's disappearance. Rumors spread, each more elaborate than the last. Some said he fled to China. Others claimed he was in hiding after a catastrophic business failure. A few whispered the truth. Darius Kang had eliminated him completely. Rival crews pulled back, reassessing their positions. No one wanted to test the message Lee's death delivered. Darius's power consolidated. His syndicate operated more efficiently than in years. He attended meetings with focus he'd lost after the crash. His lieutenants whispered that the boss was back to his old self, but Youngwoo knew better. Over drinks in a private room, he confronted Darius directly. It's the woman, isn't it? The one from the gallery. Darius didn't deny it. She's important to me. Important enough to start a war over. I already fought that war. Lee lost. Lee was mid-level. What happens when someone bigger notices your vulnerability? She's not a vulnerability. Boss, with respect, everyone knows. You disappear for hours. You go alone without security. You've changed. Some say it's good you're focused again. Others say you're distracted. Either way, she's a vulnerability. Darius set down his drink, his voice dropping to dangerous quiet. Are you questioning my judgment? I'm protecting my friend, the man I followed for 16 years. I don't want to see you hurt. And I don't want to see us hurt because of a woman. What I feel for her isn't weakness. It's the opposite. For 9 months after the crash, I was hollow, going through motions, ready to let this empire collapse because I didn't care anymore. She gave me a reason to care. To fight. To rebuild. If that's weakness, then weakness makes me stronger. Youngwoo absorbed this. You love her. I'm learning how. Does she know about the crash? About why you were struggling? Darius shook his head. She knows I was broken. She doesn't need to know the specifics. Maybe she does. Maybe she deserves to understand what she healed in you. That's not a conversation I know how to have. Then learn. If she's as important as you say, she deserves your complete honesty, not just the convenient parts. The conversation haunted Darius for days. Youngwoo was right. Zara had demanded honesty, and he'd given her truth about his violence, his empire, his crimes. But he hadn't told her about the impotence, the shame, the 9 months of feeling less than human. That vulnerability felt too raw, too humiliating. But she'd shared her trauma from Lagos, her fear of dangerous men, her history of being threatened. If he wanted real intimacy, he needed to offer the same vulnerability. He went to Afrovisions on a quiet Wednesday evening, finding Zara organizing inventory in the back. She looked up, smiling, then reading his expression. What's wrong? I need to tell you something. About the crash. About why I was really broken. She set down her tablet. Okay. They sat on the couch where they'd spent that first night together. Darius struggled to find words, his hands clenched into fists. Zara waited patiently, not pushing. The car crash 9 months ago, he began. Physically, I healed fine. No permanent damage to my spine or legs. But there were other complications. Psychological complications that manifested physically. You don't have to. Yes, I do. You deserve to know. He took a breath. After the crash, I lost the ability to perform sexually. Complete impotence. Doctors said it was psychological trauma manifesting physically. They tried medications, therapy, everything. Nothing worked. For 9 months I felt like less than a man. Like the crash took something essential from me. Zara's expression remained neutral, processing. And then I walked into that club. I heard your voice, and for the first time in 9 months my body responded. Completely. Overwhelmingly. It terrified me because I couldn't understand how one stranger could accomplish what 9 months of medical treatment couldn't. That's why you kept coming back. Partly. First, yes. I needed to understand what you did to me. But then I kept coming back because of who you are. Because you make me feel human instead of monstrous. Because your presence heals something deeper than physical impotence. She reached for his hand. Thank you for telling me. That's incredibly vulnerable. I'm embarrassed. Why? Bodies react to trauma in complex ways. You have nothing to be embarrassed about. I'm Darius Kang. I'm not supposed to be vulnerable. I'm not supposed to need anyone. Everyone needs someone. Being strong doesn't mean being invulnerable. It means being honest about your vulnerabilities. She squeezed his hand. Does it still work? With me, I mean. He laughed despite himself. Yes. Frustratingly well. Sometimes inconveniently well. Good. Then we can stop talking about it and focus on other things. She kissed him softly. I'm honored you trusted me with that truth. It changes nothing about how I see you. Except maybe makes me understand better why you looked so panicked that first night. I was mortified. You hid it well. Very stoic. Very syndicate boss. I'm glad I amuse you. You do more than amuse me. You terrify me, challenge me, make me reconsider everything I thought I knew about safety and risk. But you also make me feel seen in ways I haven't felt since leaving Nigeria. Like you understand the exile of rebuilding yourself in a foreign place. Is that what we're doing? Rebuilding ourselves. Maybe. Or maybe we're building something new entirely. Something neither of us expected. They sat in comfortable silence, fingers intertwined. Outside, Seoul hummed with evening activity. Inside, two people continued mapping the territory between fear and intimacy. Then Zara's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, her expression shifting to alarm. What is it? Darius asked. Message from an unknown number. She showed him the screen. Tell your boyfriend his protection isn't absolute. Darius's jaw clenched. When did this arrive? Just now. He immediately called Taehyun. I need a trace on a number and increase security around Afro-Visions immediately. Someone's making threats. Zara set down her phone, hands shaking. It's starting again. Legos all over again. It's not the same. How is it not the same? Threats because I'm associated with a dangerous man. Fear because I made the wrong choice. My life at risk because of someone else's decisions. The difference is I won't let anything happen to you. You can't promise that. No one can promise that. She stood pacing. Maybe we should stop this before it gets worse. Before someone actually gets hurt. Darius stood too, blocking her path. Is that what you want? To run. I want to survive. I want to build my business. I want a life that isn't consumed by fear. Then let me handle this. Give me time to identify the threat and neutralize it. And then what? Another threat appears. And another. When does it end, Darius? When do we get to just be two people without the violence and danger? I don't know. Maybe never. Maybe that's the cost of being with me. Zara's eyes filled with tears. That's not good enough. Then tell me what is good enough. Tell me what you need and I'll move heaven and earth to give it to you. I need you to be someone else. Someone safe. Someone who doesn't put targets on the people he loves. She wiped her tears angrily. But I can't ask you to be someone you're not. And you can't ask me to accept endless danger. So maybe we're impossible. Maybe this was doomed from the start. I don't accept that. You don't have a choice. Neither of us does. We can't change reality by wishing it different. Darius pulled her into his arms despite her resistance. Listen to me. I know I'm asking too much. I know being with me means danger. But I also know that what we have is real. Worth fighting for. Worth protecting. If you walk away now out of fear, you'll regret it. We'll both regret it. Regret is better than death. Is it? I spent 9 months regretting being alive. That's worse than any death. She softened slightly, her resistance fading. I'm so scared. I know. So am I. But we face it together. How do you always know the right thing to say? I don't. I just say what's true and hope it's right. She pulled back enough to see his face. Find whoever sent that message. Handle it. But Darius, if this keeps happening, if the threats keep coming, I don't know how long I can live like this. Understood. I'll make this right. He left immediately, rage simmering beneath his controlled exterior. Someone was testing him again. Someone thought they could threaten what he cared about and survive. They were wrong. Taehyun traced the number to a burner phone last used in Mapo district. Surveillance footage showed a young man, early 20s, collecting cash from an unknown source. A hired messenger, not the real threat. Darius's men brought the messenger to a location within hours. The interrogation was brief and brutal. The young man, terrified and bleeding, confessed everything. He was paid by someone claiming to represent Chinese interests. No names, no faces, just cash and instructions to send the message. Chinese, Darius repeated. Which organization? I don't know, I swear. The guy said it was a message about respecting boundaries, about foreigners knowing their place. Darius dismissed the messenger with a warning and broken fingers. Then he called an emergency meeting with his lieutenants. If Chinese syndicates were moving into Seoul, testing his territory through threats against Zara, this was bigger than Chairman Lee's minor power play. We need intelligence on Chinese operations in Seoul, he told his men. Who's here, what they want, what their capacity is. I want answers within 24 hours. Jungwoo leaned forward. Boss, if this is Chinese triad moving in, we're talking about a different level of threat. They have resources we can't match directly. Then we match them strategically. Find their vulnerabilities, identify their local connections, and send a very clear message that threatening my interests brings consequences they can't afford. What about the woman? Should we move her somewhere safe? She won't go. And forcing her would destroy what we have. So we protect her where she is. Triple security, eyes on her 24 hours, and we make it very clear to anyone watching that touching her means war. The men nodded, understanding the stakes. Protecting a woman meant showing vulnerability, but abandoning her meant showing weakness. Darius was betting that demonstrating protective capability would prove strength more than vulnerability. Over the next 48 hours, intelligence came in pieces. Chinese representatives had been meeting with mid-level Korean players, offering partnerships and territory exchanges. They claimed to represent legitimate business interests, but everyone knew better. This was a strategic incursion. More concerning, they'd specifically mentioned Afro-Visions as an example of foreign businesses operating without proper protection. The threat was clear. Submit to their authority or face consequences. Darius called a meeting with the Chinese representatives through intermediaries. Neutral territory, limited attendees, strict protocols. He needed to understand their intentions before deciding how to respond. The meeting took place in a private room at a luxury hotel. 3 Chinese businessmen in expensive suits, flanked by security. Darius arrived with Taehyun and Jungwoo. Deliberately understated. The lead representative, a man in his 50s named Wei, smiled without warmth. Mr. Kang, thank you for meeting with us. Your message was received. I'm here to understand your intentions. Direct. I appreciate that. Our intentions are simple. We're expanding operations in Seoul. We prefer cooperation over conflict. Partners profit more than enemies. And if I'm not interested in partnership, then we hope you're at least interested in avoiding unnecessary complications. Seoul is large enough for multiple interests, but some interests require proper oversight. Foreign businesses, for example. Darius's expression remained neutral. You're referring to Afro-Vision specifically? Among others. African businesses operating in Itaewon without proper protection. It would be unfortunate if something happened to them. That sounds like a threat. That sounds like concern for community safety. We're offering protection services. Very reasonable rates. The gallery is already protected. By me. Wei's smile widened. We're aware of your personal interest. That's admirable. But personal interest isn't the same as professional protection. Our organization has resources yours might lack. International reach, political connections, experience managing complex situations involving foreign nationals. We understand you've been focused on local matters. We offer global perspective. Darius leaned back, assessing. Wei was smooth, professional, and completely full of lies. This wasn't about protection services. This was about testing whether Darius's relationship with Zara created exploitable weakness. I appreciate your concern, Darius said carefully, but I'll decline your services. Afro-Visions and its owner are under my protection. That protection is comprehensive and non-negotiable. Non-negotiable is a strong position. It leaves no room for flexibility. That's intentional. Wei exchanged glances with his associates. Mr. Kang, we didn't come here to create conflict, but we also didn't come to be dismissed. Perhaps you should discuss this with your organization. Consider the broader implications. I've considered everything necessary. My answer stands. Then I hope you understand the risks you're assuming. Protecting one woman against organized interests requires significant resources. It would be unfortunate if your protection proved inadequate. Darius stood, the movement controlled but threatening. Let me be very clear. Any action against Afro-Visions or its owner will be interpreted as a direct attack on me personally. Not my organization. Me. And I respond to personal attacks with overwhelming force. You claim to have done research on me. Then you know I don't make empty threats. Wei remained seated, his smile finally fading. We've heard stories. The Lee situation, for example. Very dramatic. Lee made a mistake. He threatened something under my protection. His organization no longer exists. I'm offering you the opportunity to learn from his example. That sounds like a threat, Mr. Kang. That's careful observation. I don't make threats. I state facts. The fact is, anyone who touches what I protect doesn't survive the experience. You can test that fact or respect it. Your choice. He left without waiting for a response. Taehyun and Youngwoo followed, tension radiating from them. That was bold, boss, Youngwoo said once they were in the car. Maybe too bold. It needed to be said. They were testing whether Zara makes me weak. I showed them the opposite. Protecting her makes me dangerous. Or it paints a bigger target on her. The target was already there. Now everyone knows the cost of aiming at it. Taehyun pulled out his tablet. Boss, we should prepare for escalation. Wei's organization isn't Lee's crew. They have serious resources. Then we match them. Call in favors from our Japanese contacts. Reach out to Russian connections. I want everyone to know that threatening my interests means facing more than just my organization. It means facing everyone I have relationships with. That's a lot of chips to call in over one woman. Darius met Taehyun's eyes in the rearview mirror. She's not one woman. She's everything. If you can't understand that, then you don't understand me at all. The next morning, Darius went to Afro-Visions early, before opening hours. Zara let him in, her face showing sleepless nights. I heard about the meeting, she said. One of your men told my security detail. Did they tell you what I said? That you'd start a war over me. That I'm worth protecting against organized crime syndicates. That you're insane. She tried to smile but couldn't quite manage it. Darius, this is escalating beyond anything I imagined. I handled it. By threatening powerful people. By making me a symbol of your territorial dominance. That's not handling it. That's making it worse. What would you have me do? Submit to their threats? Let them believe you're unprotected. I want you to be smart. Strategic. Not emotional. I'm being all three. Smart strategy sometimes requires emotional commitment. They need to understand that touching you isn't worth the consequences. Zara moved to the window, arms wrapped around herself. I watched my mother die slowly from stress. Literal stress-induced illness because my father's business dealings put constant pressure on our family. She had ulcers, high blood pressure, anxiety so severe she couldn't sleep. And when she finally died, my father said it was worth it. That building his empire was worth the cost. I swore I'd never live like that. Never let someone's ambition destroy my health. I'm not your father. No, but you're making similar choices. You're deciding that your protection of me is worth starting conflicts. I don't get a vote. I don't get to say, please don't start a war on my behalf. You've decided and I'm just supposed to accept it. Because I love you. The words exploded from Darius. Because losing you would destroy me more completely than any war. Because for 9 months I was a ghost and you made me alive again. So yes, I'll start wars. I'll burn cities. I'll do whatever it takes to keep you safe because you're the only thing that matters. Silence filled the gallery. Zara stood frozen at the window, tears streaming down her face. You've never said that before, she whispered. Not like that. Not with that kind of certainty. Darius moved to her, turning her to face him. I love you, Zara Okafor. Completely. Irrationally. In ways that terrify me. And I'm sorry if my protection feels like imprisonment. I'm sorry if loving you means danger. But I can't change who I am. I can only promise that every decision I make considers your happiness above everything else. She touched his face, her fingers trembling. I love you too. That's what makes this so hard. I love you enough that your danger becomes my danger. Your enemies become my enemies. Your choices become my reality. And I don't know if love is supposed to feel this much like surrender. It's not surrender. It's partnership. We face this together. Together, she repeated. But on your terms. In your world. Following your rules. Then tell me your terms. Set your boundaries. I'll respect them. She took a shaky breath. I want monthly check-ins. Full transparency about threats, about conflicts, about anything that might affect my safety. No surprises. No discovering I'm a target after the fact. Agreed. I want veto power on major decisions that directly impact me. If you're considering something that puts me at risk, I get a say. Agreed. And I want 1 day a week where we're just us. No syndicate business, no threats, no violence. Just Darius and Zara being normal people who love each other. He pulled her close. I can give you that. All of it. Whatever you need to feel like a partner instead of a possession. She buried her face in his chest. I'm still terrified. So am I. But we're terrified together. That has to count for something. They stood like that, holding each other as morning light filled the gallery. Outside, Seoul woke to another day of chaos and possibility. Inside, two people chose each other despite every logical reason not to. 3 days later, Darius received an unexpected call. Wei, the Chinese representative. Mr. Kang, I'd like to request another meeting. Just the two of us. No associates, no security. Honest conversation. Darius's instincts screamed trap, but curiosity won. Where? Han River Park. Tomorrow at dawn. Very public, very visible. No ambushes, no games. Just talk. I'll be there. The next morning, Darius arrived at the specified location to find Wei already waiting, feeding ducks by the water. No visible security, though Darius knew they were there. Just as his own men watched from strategic positions. Mr. Kang, thank you for coming. Darius stood beside him, both men watching the river. What do you want, Wei? To apologize, actually. And to clarify. Wei sighed, tossing bread to the ducks. The initial approach to you wasn't authorized by our main organization. It was independent contractors trying to prove their worth. They approached us with a proposal. Kidnap your woman, force negotiations. We declined. They proceeded anyway, using our name without authorization. We've since addressed the misunderstanding. Why should I believe you? Because I gain nothing from lying. If I wanted her kidnapped, I'd use my own people, not reckless contractors who barely managed to send one threatening text before fleeing. That's not our standard. Darius assessed the claim. It made sense. The approach had been amateurish, not the work of a sophisticated organization. Assuming I believe you, Darius said carefully, where does that leave us? In an interesting position. We both have problems. I have reckless contractors creating chaos. You have a target on your back because of your personal interests. Perhaps we solve both problems simultaneously. How? Negotiated arrangement. I stop independent operators from targeting you in exchange for your cooperation on certain business matters. Nothing that compromises your core territory, just strategic partnerships that benefit us both. And Afro Visions? Off limits completely. I make it known throughout the network that the gallery and its owner are untouchable. Anyone who violates that understanding answers to both of us. It was a good offer. Too good. Which made Darius suspicious. What's the catch? No catch. Just pragmatism. Continued conflict benefits no one. You're spending resources protecting one woman. I'm spending resources managing reckless operators. We both lose. Partnership means we both win. I need guarantees. You'll have them. Written terms witnessed by neutral parties. We formalize this properly. Darius wanted to refuse on principle, but Zara's face flashed through his mind. Her fear. Her exhaustion. Her plea for him to choose life over pride. I'll consider your proposal, he said. Give me 48 hours. Take the time you need. But Mr. Kang, one more thing. Wei turned to face him directly. I respect what you're doing. Protecting someone you love despite the cost. That's honorable. Rare in our business. I'd hate to see it destroy you. Since when do you care about my well-being? I don't. I care about stable partnerships. You're more valuable as an ally than an enemy. And you're most valuable when you're not distracted by constant threats to your personal life. Darius left the meeting with more questions than answers. But he also left with a possible solution. He went directly to Afro Visions, finding Zara in the middle of helping a customer. She excused herself when she saw his face, leading him to the back office. Well, she asked. Wei offered terms. Partnership arrangement. Afro Visions becomes officially off-limits to everyone. In exchange, I cooperate on some business matters. What kind of business matters? Shipping routes, territory sharing. Nothing that compromises my core operations. Just strategic cooperation. And you're considering it. I told him I'd think about it. 48 hours. Zara studied him. You hate this idea. I can see it in your face. I hate feeling forced into negotiations. I hate that threatening you worked as a strategy. I hate admitting that I can't protect you alone. But you're still considering it. Because you're worth swallowing my pride. Because I love you more than I love dominance. Because Youngwoo and Taehyun and even Wei are right. Continued conflict benefits no one. She moved closer, wrapping her arms around him carefully. This is growth. Real growth. The man who walked into that club 10 weeks ago would never consider compromise. 10 weeks ago I was empty. Now I have something to lose. That changes everything. It makes you stronger, not weaker. Tell that to my lieutenants who think I've gone soft. Your lieutenants respect you. They'll support whatever decision you make. And if they don't, fire them. Life's too short to surround yourself with people who can't see your evolution. Darius laughed despite himself. You make it sound simple. It is simple. Not easy but simple. You choose what matters most and protect it. You matter most. Then protect us. Even if it means compromise. Even if it means partnership with people you don't trust. Protection takes many forms. He kissed her, gentle and deep, trying to communicate everything he felt. When they broke apart, his decision was made. I'll accept Wei's terms. With modifications, with guarantees, with verification. But I'll accept them. Good. Now sit down before you stress yourself into an early grave. You're supposed to be thinking strategically, not emotionally spiraling. Can't help it. You do that to me. Impossible, man. You keep saying that. Because it keeps being true. Over the next 2 days, lawyers and intermediaries drafted terms. Darius insisted on specific language protecting Afro Visions, Zara personally, and all her employees. Wei agreed without hesitation. Territory arrangements were negotiated. Shipping routes coordinated. Profit sharing calculated. By the end of 48 hours, they had a formal agreement. Not friendship, not trust, but functional partnership built on mutual benefit and clear boundaries. Darius's lieutenants had mixed reactions. Some saw it as weakness. Others recognized strategic necessity. Youngwoo pulled him aside after the signing. This was the right call, boss. Hard but right. Doesn't feel right. Feels like surrender. Surrender would be giving up everything. This is strategic repositioning. You've protected what matters while gaining a powerful ally. That's not weakness, that's evolution. When did you become so philosophical? I've been learning from someone who values survival over pride. Figured I should apply the lessons. With the agreement in place, Seoul's criminal ecosystem stabilized. Word spread quickly. Afro-Visions was untouchable. Not because of fear alone, but because it was backed by multiple organizations. Threatening it meant facing united retaliation. Zara felt the change immediately. The tension that had permeated the gallery for weeks dissipated. Her employees relaxed. Customers returned. Life approached something resembling normalcy. But normalcy came with its own challenges. With the external threats neutralized, Darius and Zara had to face internal questions about their relationship. What were they building? Where was this going? Could love born from danger survive in peace? One evening, 3 months after the Way agreement, they sat on the gallery couch where so much of their relationship had unfolded. Rain hammered against windows. Seoul glowed beyond the glass. I've been thinking, Zara said. About us. About what happens now. That sounds ominous. Not ominous. Just real. We started in crisis. Trauma, danger. Now things are stable. Does what we have survive stability? Why wouldn't it? Because sometimes relationships built on intensity can't handle ordinary life. The adrenaline fades. The excitement dims. You're left with just two people figuring out daily existence. That's harder than it sounds. Darius pulled her closer. So we figure it out together. We've survived everything else. We can survive boring. Boring sounds nice right now. Boring sounds like healing. Then let's be boring. Let's have quiet dinners and stupid arguments about nothing. Let's build something ordinary and extraordinary simultaneously. You're bad at boring. You're too intense. Then teach me. You're good at everything else. Teach me how to be normal. Zara laughed, the sound lighter than it had been in months. Normal is overrated. How about we aim for functional dysfunction? We're good at that. Best functional dysfunction in Seoul. That's a low bar. Then we'll set a high standard. Be the couple everyone points to and says they shouldn't work, but somehow they do. She kissed him softly. I can live with that. 3 months later, Darius stood in Afro-Visions after closing, watching Zara arrange new inventory for an upcoming exhibition. She moved with familiar grace, humming along to Afrobeats playing through gallery speakers. The scene was domestic, ordinary, everything he'd never thought he'd want. But it was everything. You're staring, she said without turning. I like watching you work. That's creepy. It's romantic. It's both. She turned, smiling. Are you going to help or just supervise? I'm providing moral support. Useless. But she said it with affection. Darius moved to help anyway, carefully lifting frames despite his shoulders' lingering stiffness. They worked in comfortable silence, the kind of quiet that came from genuine partnership. His phone buzzed. Taehyun with an update about organization business. Routine matters, nothing urgent. Darius responded briefly, then pocketed the phone. Everything okay? Zara asked. Everything's fine. Just work. Your work is less terrifying now. I appreciate that. My work hasn't changed. I've just gotten better at keeping it separate. No, it's changed. You've changed. You smile more. You're less hollow. That's your doing. That's our doing. I helped. You did the actual work. They finished organizing inventory, then stood together at the window, watching rain-slicked Seoul shimmer with neon impossibility. Do you ever regret it? Darius asked quietly. Letting me into your life? Accepting all the complications. Every day, Zara admitted. And then you do something that reminds me why I stayed. Like negotiate peace agreements because I asked. Or rest when you're injured because I insisted. Or look at me like I'm the only thing keeping you tethered to earth. And I remember that some complications are worth it. I still can't believe you said yes. To what? To all of it. To me. To danger. To love. I didn't say yes immediately. I fought it hard. You just fought harder. I'm persistent. You're annoying. There's a difference. He pulled her against him, breathing in her familiar scent. Thank you. For what? For seeing me when I was invisible. For believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. For making me feel alive again. You're getting sentimental. Is this a fever? Should I check your temperature? I'm serious. I know. That's what's scary. She pulled back enough to see his face. You saved me too, you know. From safe, controlled loneliness. From building walls so high nothing could reach me. You demolished everything I built to protect myself. And somehow that was exactly what I needed. We're disasters. Perfect disasters. You said there's no such thing. I changed my mind. We're the exception. They stood together as rain intensified, Seoul's chaos continuing beyond their small sanctuary. Two broken people who had found wholeness in each other. Two disasters who'd created something beautiful from destruction. Later that night, as Darius prepared to leave, Zara stopped him. Stay, she said simply. Here. At my apartment above the gallery. Stay the night. Properly. No emergencies, no injuries. Just stay. It was a threshold they hadn't fully crossed. Moments, yes. Intimacy, certainly. But not the vulnerability of waking up together without crisis as catalyst. Are you sure? He asked. I've never been less sure or more certain about anything simultaneously. But yes. Stay. They climbed stairs to her apartment, a space Darius had never fully seen. It reflected her perfectly. Vibrant fabrics from home mixed with Korean minimalism. Books everywhere. Plants thriving in corners. Art covering walls. This is you, he said, looking around. Completely you. I'm letting you into my actual life. Not just the gallery. My real space. I'm honored. You should be. I don't let people in easily. They moved through the evening with growing naturalness. She cooked dinner. Nigerian jollof rice that made his eyes water and his heart sing. They talked about nothing important. Favorite movies, childhood memories, dreams deferred and dreams reimagined. When they finally moved to her bedroom, the intensity that always crackled between them was there, but gentler, less desperate. They undressed slowly, discovering each other without urgency. Darius traced scars on her shoulder, a childhood injury in Lagos. She touched the puckered skin on his shoulder where the car crash had left its mark. We're both marked, she whispered. By survival. By living instead of just existing. Their lovemaking was slow, reverent, a conversation without words. Every touch communicated what language couldn't capture. When they finally came together, it felt less like passion and more like homecoming. Afterward, they lay tangled together, breathing synchronized, the world reduced to this room, this moment, this person. I love you, Darius said into the darkness. I know I've said it before, but I need you to know I mean it. Not just intensity, not just healing. Love. The kind that survives boring. The kind that builds life instead of just surviving it. I love you too, Zara replied. The terrifying, impossible, completely irrational kind of love. The kind I swore I'd never feel again. The kind that made me break every rule I made to protect myself. Regrets. None. Fears. Constantly. But no regrets. They fell asleep like that. Two people who'd found each other in darkness and chosen to step into light together. 6 months after their first meeting in Club Eclipse, Darius stood before his full syndicate for the first time since implementing the new partnerships. The room held 35 lieutenants, each representing different operations across Seoul. Some looked at him with the old respect, others with new skepticism. All waited to see which Darius Kang showed up. He walked to the head of the table without hesitation, presence commanding. I'm sure you've all noticed changes, he began without preamble. My behavior, my decisions, my priorities. Some of you have questioned these changes. Some have respected them. All of you deserve an explanation. The room remained silent, tension thick. 9 months ago I nearly died. Not from the crash itself but from what came after. I lost something essential. Not physical strength or strategic thinking. Something deeper. Purpose, connection, humanity. I became a ghost running an empire. And that's no way to lead. He paused, meeting eyes around the table. Then I met someone who reminded me why empires matter. Not for power itself, not for fear or respect or dominance, but for what power can protect. What it can build. What it can preserve. The woman from the gallery, someone murmured. Yes, Zara. She's under my protection. And she's changed everything about how I operate. Not because she's a weakness, but because she's a strength. Because loving someone gives purpose to power. Because protecting something real makes you dangerous in ways fear never could. Youngwoo spoke up. Some of us see that, boss. Others worry about vulnerability. Worry is fair. But understand this. I'm more committed now than ever. The way agreement wasn't surrender. It was strategy. Protecting what matters while expanding our reach. We're stronger now than before the crash. More stable, more connected. And I'm more focused because I have something worth fighting for. Kim Sun-ho, one of his older lieutenants, leaned forward with respect. Boss, what happens if something happens to her? If we lose what you're fighting for? The question hung heavy. Darius had asked himself the same thing countless times. If something happens to her despite my protection, then yes, I'll probably break. Maybe permanently. But that risk exists anyway. We're all one bullet away from breaking. At least now I'm alive enough to feel it. That's better than the alternative. He looked around the table one more time. Anyone who can't accept this new reality should leave now. No hard feelings, no consequences. But if you stay, understand, protecting my interests means protecting all of them. Professional and personal. Are we clear? Heads nodded around the table. Some reluctant, some enthusiastic, all understanding. Good. Now let's talk about expanding our operations in Itaewon. The meeting continued for 2 hours, covering territory, finances, partnerships, threats. But something fundamental had shifted. Darius wasn't just commanding fear anymore. He was inspiring loyalty through visible humanity. When he left, Youngwoo walked him out. That was bold, boss. Laying everything out like that. It was necessary. They needed to understand why I've changed. You think they accept it? Some do. Others will come around. A few won't. But I can live with that. You really love her that much. Darius didn't hesitate. More than I thought possible. More than is probably smart. But yes. Then I'm happy for you. You deserve something real after everything you've built. We all deserve something real. Maybe that's the lesson. That evening, Darius arrived at Afro-Visions to find it transformed. Zara had redecorated for a private celebration. Candles everywhere. The gallery's main space cleared except for a table set for 2. Music playing softly. What's this? He asked. 6 months, she said, emerging from the back in a dress that took his breath away. 6 months since you walked into that club looking lost and dangerous. I thought we should celebrate survival. We're celebrating survival? What else is there to celebrate? We survived danger, fear, complications, each other's worst qualities. That deserves recognition. Darius moved to her, pulling her close. 6 months feels like forever and yesterday simultaneously. Time is weird when you're falling. Are we still falling? Every day. Just less terrifying now. More like floating. They ate dinner. She prepared a fusion of Korean and Nigerian cuisine that shouldn't work but somehow did. Like them. They talked about the future. About expanding the gallery. About Darius's plans for legitimate business ventures alongside the criminal empire. Do you ever think about leaving Seoul? Zara asked at one point. Where would we go? I don't know. Somewhere without history, without complications. Just us and whatever we build. You'd leave Afro-Visions? I'd leave anything for the right reasons. But I don't think I want to anymore. This place, this city, this chaotic, beautiful mess, it's ours now. We've earned it. With blood and tears and too much adrenaline. Then we stay. Build our life here. Make Seoul remember us as something other than a criminal and his woman. What should they remember us as? 2 disasters who created something perfect. She laughed, that sound he'd fallen in love with. The sound that still made his body respond after 6 months. You're getting poetic in your old age. I'm 35. Ancient. Practically decrepit. He pulled her from her chair onto his lap. Careful. This decrepit man can still make you forget your own name. Prove it. He did. Right there in the candlelit gallery where everything started. Where a broken man had found salvation in a woman's voice. Where fear transformed into love. Where 2 people chose each other despite every logical reason not to. Later, wrapped in each other on that familiar couch, Zara spoke softly. Thank you for choosing me. Every day. Despite the complications. Thank you for teaching me how to be human again. How to feel. How to love. We sound like greeting cards. Terrible greeting cards. The kind that make people uncomfortable. The best kind. They fell asleep as Seoul hummed beyond the windows. Two people who'd found each other in the city's dangerous heart and decided that was exactly where they belonged. 1 year later, the gallery opening was packed. Afrovisions had become one of Seoul's premier destinations for contemporary African art, and tonight's exhibition featured emerging Nigerian photographers exploring identity in diaspora. Zara moved through the crowd with practiced grace, discussing pieces with collectors, introducing artists, building connections. She wore a stunning gown that merged traditional Nigerian fabrics with contemporary Korean design, a perfect representation of the bridge she'd built between worlds. Darius watched from the side, content to let her shine. He'd learned over the past year that loving someone meant celebrating their success without needing to be the center of attention. She's remarkable, Wei said, appearing beside him with champagne. She is. And you're happy. Strange seeing you like this. Almost domesticated. Darius smiled. Domesticated. I like that. The other organizations have noticed. You're more stable, more predictable. It's good for business. Everything's good for business when you're not constantly fighting wars. Wei raised his glass. To unexpected partnerships. And to women who make dangerous men want to be better. They drank to that. Later, after the crowds had left and the gallery was quiet, Darius helped Zara clean up. Successful night, he said. Very. We sold 12 pieces. 3 major commissions. And the Korean Times wants to do a feature. You're building something incredible here. We're building something incredible. This gallery exists because you helped me feel safe enough to dream big. Darius pulled her close. I have something for you. It's not my birthday. I know. But we're celebrating anyway. He pulled a small box from his jacket pocket. Zara's eyes widened. Darius. Before you panic, it's not what you think. Not yet. Open it. Inside was a key on a simple chain. Key to my penthouse, he explained. I want you to have a space there. Not moving in, not giving up your apartment. Just having a place that's ours. Together. Tears filled her eyes. That's somehow more terrifying than a proposal. Is that a yes? That's a yes. To having space together. To building something that's ours. To all of it. She kissed him soft and deep. The kind of kiss that promised futures they were building together. I love you, she whispered against his lips. I love you too. Every day. Every version of you. Every moment. Even when I'm difficult? Especially then. You wouldn't be you if you weren't difficult. She laughed, the sound filling the gallery with warmth. Outside, Seoul glowed with possibility. Inside, two people who'd found each other in darkness continued building light together. Darius Kang, who'd once been a ghost wandering through life, was finally completely alive. And Zara Okafor, who'd sworn off dangerous men, had found that sometimes danger came wrapped in healing, in growth, in love that transformed everything. They weren't perfect. Their life wasn't safe. But it was real and honest and completely theirs. And that was everything. 2 years after that first night in Club Eclipse, Darius and Zara stood on the balcony of his penthouse, overlooking Seoul's neon-lit chaos. Her hand rested in his, a diamond ring catching city light. The proposal had come quietly without fanfare. Just the two of them in her apartment above the gallery, surrounded by art and books and the life they'd built together. Are you sure about this? She'd asked, even as tears streamed down her face. I've never been more sure of anything, he'd replied. Except maybe walking into that club the night I met you. Now planning a wedding that would unite Seoul's underworld with international art communities, they stood together watching the city that had tested them, broken them, and ultimately made them whole. Do you remember what you said that first night? Zara asked. When I asked if you were lost? I said I was exactly where I was meant to be. You were right. Even then, drowning in everything broken inside you, you somehow knew. Or maybe I just hoped. Hope disguised as certainty. She turned to face him, the ring on her finger catching light. I'm glad you hoped. I'm glad you were persistent and annoying and impossible to ignore. I'm glad you were brave enough to see past the ghost to the man underneath. We saved each other, you know? That's not how it's supposed to work in stories. The broken man and the cautious woman. But somehow we did. Darius pulled her close, breathing in the scent that had become home. Maybe that's the real story. Not salvation or rescue. Just two people choosing each other every single day despite every reason not to. Every single day, she echoed. Even the hard ones. Especially the hard ones. Inside the penthouse, his phone buzzed with business that could wait. Syndicate matters that no longer consumed him. Territory disputes that lieutenants could handle. He'd learned to delegate, to trust, to build an empire that didn't require his constant presence. Because he'd found something worth being present for. Someone worth choosing over power and fear and endless empire building. Seoul's underworld whispered about Darius Kang. How love had changed him. Made him dangerous in new ways. Focused and strategic and absolutely ruthless when protecting what mattered. They were right. The broken man who'd wandered into a nightclub 9 months after a car crash had died that night. And in his place emerged someone stronger. Someone whole. Someone capable of building something that lasted beyond violence and fear. Two disasters creating something perfect. Two broken people figuring out how to heal together. Two humans learning that vulnerability wasn't weakness, but the bravest thing they'd ever done. And as Seoul hummed below them, infinite in its chaos and possibility, Darius Kang and Zara Okafor held each other and chose love over fear, partnership over loneliness, hope over the ghosts that once haunted them. That was their story. Not perfect, not safe, but real and honest and completely impossibly theirs. If you enjoyed this story of how love became the most dangerous weapon in Seoul's underworld, make sure to like this video. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss another story like this. Hit that notification bell because we have more Afro-Korean romance stories coming your way. Comment below and tell me, do you believe love can truly heal? What was your favorite moment from Darius and Zara's journey? And share this video with someone who loves intense romance stories with high stakes and real emotion. Your support keeps these stories coming. Until next time, remember that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is choose love when everything tells you to run. See you in the next story.